Hey, it's your boy King Cold, and you're listening to Uncovering the Underground with your host Skippy Ickum, right here on Spreaker Podcast Radio, the show that brings you nothing but underground music.
I might have a drinking problem. You know. Cause I ain't got a problem drinking. You know. Man, I got a lot of problems. These drinks keeping me from overthinking. So let's just roll one up, pour a shot. Fuck it, let's get fried. Let's roll one up, pour a shot. I'm drunken out my mind. I got a drinking problem. I ain't got a problem drinking. Let's go. Means I got a drinking problem. Problems in my life away. Let the ego turn into a monster cause I'm Tanqueray. Told my baby mama I was slowing down, but I bought the entire bar another round. Keep the party jumping till the AM. I come through slaying. Soldier checker do like Walter Payton. Fuck this dude and his 9 friends. Call this shit a strike when I knock down 10 pins. Y'all ain't even that dope at all. I'm here for the easy women and the hard alcohol. Shit turned into an all-out brawl. Swing and pull cues like Monday Night Raw. I'm just trying to get these beers thrown back. Then maybe chase the Kraken with a little bit of jack. Roll me a blunt and eat a few snacks. What's so damn offensive about that? I might have a drinking problem. You know. Cause I ain't got a problem drinking. You know. Man, I got a lot of problems. These drinks keeping me from overthinking. So let's just roll one up, pour a shot. Fuck it, let's get fried. Let's roll one up, pour a shot. I'm drunken out my mind. I got a drinking problem. I ain't got a problem drinking. Let's go. Means I got a drinking problem. Get it, let me get it back. I might take a shot of tequila and mix it with the jack. Everybody know we from that drinking generation. Get my middle fingers up, cause I know my liver hate me. I might shoot a shot glass and wash it with some gasoline. Swallow a ball of fire, ain't nobody bad as me. While I'm posted in the back, blowing on some tangerine. And my bitch's bad, her ass is jumping like a trampoline. I'm a bar hopper, baby, we call that honky talking. From the south, where we say a lot, but don't do lots of talking. Yeah, I got a lot of problems, so I got some empty bottles. The falling feels like flying till we finally hit the bottom. I might have a drinking problem. You know. Cause I ain't got a problem drinking. You know. Man, I got a lot of problems. These drinks keeping me from overthinking. So let's just roll one up, pour a shot. Fuck it, let's get fried. Let's roll one up, pour a shot. I'm drunken out my mind. I got a drinking problem. I ain't got a problem drinking. Let's go.
I'll make my girlfriend nervous. Babe, please, I'm hardly swerving. Listen, dog, I'm probably smoking in that styrofoam for certain. Pour a shot of Jack Daniels. Now that whiskey got me lurking. I've been swimming in this Jack. I'm about to die right in the cervix. Give me 2 jump beans. I need a Sprite for the air. Been smoking reefers wet. My beak sounding fine. Let me hit that yak. Been drinking Douce. Don't you play? Who got them personal 7.5s? I need probably 3 them 10s to get me surfing. Some peeking through the curtains. About to crash without it swerving. Y'all can hit my line be 5 p.m. before I surface. Shout out to all my drinkers. What's up to all my losers? If you need me, I'm with jelly. I hit therapeutic boozing.
I might have a drinking problem. You know. Cause I ain't got a problem drinking. You know. Man, I got a lot of problems. These drinks keeping me from overthinking. So let's just roll one up, pour a shot. Fuck it, let's get fried. Let's roll one up, pour a shot. I'm drunken
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to another and what very well could be the last Uncovering the Underground episode, brought to you by First Angel Media and Brutal Business Entertainment. And as always, I'm your host, Skippy Ickum. Now, real quick, let me take a side note. I don't actually believe this will be the last episode, but there's a lot of craziness going on in the world out there, as all of you know, and we're playing it day by day. But we're glad to be bringing you an episode tonight. We do want to thank our sponsors, Tattooed Scumbag Apparel at tattooedscumbag.com, making everything from hoodies to hats to beanies to shirts, you name it, they have it. Promo code BBE10 will get you 10% off your overall order. And it's supporting a great Pittsburgh company, great entrepreneur, and really just some great gear that I wear everywhere I go, at home, on stage. When I'm out running errands, I wear it. I love it. It's good shit. So check it out. If you're a tattooed scumbag like me, you'll love it. Promo code BBE10. Want to thank Legion Artworks, 5 Milligram Artworks, R3 Graphics, and Roush Designs for everything that they do. Make sure you are checking us out and everything that we are doing at Brutal Business at teambrutalbusiness.com for all your updates on photo shoots, modeling, radio, paranormal team, horror reviews, video game stream team, music, and events. You name it, we do it, we're a part of it, and we're putting it out. So make sure you go and check it out, give that like and share button. And when we're talking about the like and share button, make sure you click the like, share, and follow button on whatever platform you're listening to us from. We do air our show both live and allow it to be streamed and downloaded after the fact on any online major retailer from Spotify to iTunes, iHeartRadio, and everything in between. So make sure you give it a like. And if you want to talk to us live during the show, ask our guest questions, just leave feedback and input. You just want to be a part of the show and be involved. We encourage it. And you can do that through Spreaker.com or through the Spreaker app. That is Spreaker. And that is our host company that we host our show through. Tonight, we have a back-to-back episode of Beautiful Ladies. Last week, we had the beautiful Layla Page from Brutal Business Entertainment on the show, and we got to kick it with her. And this week, we have a wonderful underground Ohio model with us tonight, Amanda Monet. And she's been killing the scene for quite a little while. I certainly caught my attention and been talking to her for a little while. Wanted to get her on the show to allow you folks to find out who she is, what she's about, and what you have in store for you from her. So welcome, Amanda. How you doing tonight?
I'm surviving. How are you?
Oh, doing the same. Just like I said earlier, in the introduction, just taking it day by day and kind of minute by minute. Every couple hours, shit's different, and next thing you know, like, this is happening, that's happening, not only personally with, life, but with work as well. It's an uncertain time.
It is.
It's kind of wild when you think about it. I mean, this is definitely one of those moments that our entire existence on this plane, we're never going to forget about. We're going to remember the time that they shut the world down for the coronavirus.
I know, it's a little scary.
It is, it's a little intense. I mean, who would have thunk it, huh? Rewind back 2-3 months ago, no one would have ever thought this was going to happen.
No, I know. My son said it best. He said he'd rather have it be a zombie apocalypse. At least he would know what he was killing.
True. I mean, at least gives you a fighting chance that, it would suck and it would be terrifying,
right,
but you can fight back, whereas this, you really have no chance. I mean, it's either going to get you or it's not.
Yeah, it's either your body likes you for that day or it doesn't.
It's wild. I mean, even them saying that they can live on surfaces for, up to almost 2 weeks in some cases, depending upon the surface, that's pretty shocking. And I'm like, well, I'm just never going to touch anything again. Yeah, exactly. Like, I guess I just will never touch another thing in the world. All right.
Right, yeah.
Wrap me in my bubble and leave me be.
Exactly.
Oh,
same.
But you know what? We're not going to let it slow us down, though. We're certainly going to keep doing what we do. If you're listening out there, keep doing what you do. You can't let these things bind you. I mean, we're stuck in the house, but for the most part, just keep living. Don't focus too much on just the pandemic. Obviously, keep in touch with what's going on, but don't short circuit your brain with looking at nothing but that, because it's depressing. Make sure you get your daily intake.
That's all you see on your cell phones and the TV. It's like
you can't get away from it.
You got to disconnect from your phone for a little bit, because otherwise it's like mass hysteria.
You know what I was actually hoping for, and this sounds bad, and a lot of people out there are going to say, well, that don't even make sense, Skippy, is it would be cool if it wasn't like a disease that was going around, but something happened that it just like fried all cell phone receptacles and receiving and computers and everything. Electronics just went down. They all shut down and we couldn't use them. I'd rather have that happen because you know what? I've been thinking about it lately. I love what I do. I love being on the radio. I love, being a skimmer like everybody else with my thumb on Facebook. But truth be told, if we were to erase all this out of it, eventually we would go back to being normal race again, but it would take a little while. But when we did, we would find love for life again rather than be lost in a box. And I feel that that's become a very open thing, that we are too focused on what's going on inside this box, whether it just be entertainment or it be something like this, which is a pandemic.
Right. I mean, we survived. I was born in 85, so most of my childhood was obviously the 90s. We didn't have cell phones.
I love those
We got
times.
home from school. We did our homework. We drank from the hose outside. We took our rafts, our little inner tubes, and when our ditches filled up with water, we started at one side of the ditch, and we sat in our inner tube and floated to the other side of the ditch.
Oh, yeah. No, those were fun times. They were innocent times, and you didn't have to worry about anything. You didn't have to worry about, like, what is Susie down the street doing and what's Johnny saying on here? Like, who cares? But you know what we do?
Know.
We're brainwashed into being, so entertained in what everyone else is doing that we live their lives more than we live our own, and it's very strange.
Yes, I agree.
That should have been the pandemic that we're experiencing, not this wild coronavirus bullshit. But you know what? A lot's being said about that, and it opens up a lot of eyes to things too. Because let's say, they believe it started in the Wuntam market, and
right.
It's disgusting what is happening over there with the animals and the slaughtering of animals. I mean, you can buy pretty much any type of animal over there, exotic or not, and they'll just kill it in front of you and cook it. You know what I mean? And it's sad, and that shouldn't be going on. So hopefully, if any light comes out of this darkness, is that we look at how we live, whether it be a different race of ours, different country of ours, how we live as people and how we are living and treating the things that are on this planet and animals of this planet, because, if it is a disease from that, it's almost kind of like they got payback.
Right. Yeah. That's what happens when you eat cats.
Yeah, well, and not even that, man. But I seen videos of them pulling like Burmese pythons and things out of giant tanks, and there's all these humongous snakes, and they just chop its head off in front of it, and they start to cook it right there, and they got frogs boiling, like throwing frogs into a tank, boiling water alive. Like it's cruelty, and I'm not assaulting any specific race, but it's no unknown secret that that's happening. And it's sad, and that's happening a lot over there, and that's causing, obviously, a lot of problems, a lot of pain and suffering that doesn't need to happen, and then the conditions cause for shit to happen, which ends up killing the rest of us. So, I know that they're pissed right now that we're pointing fingers and everything, and I'm not pointing my finger at anybody, but I definitely think that could be a certain start of it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But enough of that.
I'll stick to being part pescatarian, part vegan. For that matter.
That's the best way to be. I mean, I'm a giant animal lover. I love animals. There's so much innocent in an animal, even if they are violent or they're a meaner animal. That's not because they're choosing to be against you. It's just in their nature. That's who they are. It's pure. And I can respect something that's pure. Whether you hate me or like me, if I know it's pure hate or pure love, then I respect it.
Right.
Now, enough about all the nuisances that have been plaguing our minds recently. Let's talk a little bit about you. So right now, you do dwell in Ohio. Now, have you always been an Ohio girl, you said?
I've always been an Ohio girl, born and raised.
Okay. So what part of Ohio are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
It's Macedonia, so it's a suburb southeast of Cleveland.
Okay. I spent a lot of time in Cleveland at shows growing up. You guys always had the best shows over there. Pittsburgh didn't have a lot of shows going on for quite a while, not underground-wise. You could catch one here and there, but Cleveland, forget about it. Every single week, every 2-3 weeks at most, there's another amazing metal or hip-hop show going on, and the Agora Ballroom and Peabody's and all these amazing clubs that Cleveland once had.
Right. Hopefully they'll be back soon.
Well, I believe the Agora is still around, but Peabody's unfortunately got torn down. So.
Peabody's is not.
Good place, weird place, but good. Now, was this something that you always felt that your path, since a young child was to become, a model and be in front of the camera, or is it something that it started a different path and kind of led to this? Tell us a little bit about your story of how you came to be a model and how you came to be who you are now.
Well, so I have an older sister, and then I'm the second oldest, and my mom got us into modeling when we were about 2. We modeled for JCPenney's and Little Tykes and all that fun stuff that was around when we were younger. And then my mom had 2 more kids and couldn't afford to take us all on these trips with her when we had modeling jobs. So when I was 4, I stopped. Kind of lived life between then until I was 16. I did a modeling school. It was like a 6-week course where they taught you hair and makeup, how to pose, what to do in front of the camera. At the end, I did a fashion show. But it was more for just experience. I always, even in my early teens, loved Playboy. So when I turned 18, I went straight into lingerie, and I was like, I don't care. This is what I'm doing. Even when I was 18, I was more of the, I guess you can say, thicker side. I had curves, and it was hard. It was hard back then. Even I guess it's still a little hard now for certain people, but I'm also 5'3", so I was limited to what I could do. So I just did lingerie, but at the same time, it was also hard because back then, this is before, women embracing their curves were a thing, and before curvy models were on covers of magazines. So I had a very hard time getting modeling jobs because everyone wanted that Playboy model. They wanted the models that were skinny and blonde and no tattoos, and I have 20. So it's the way I kind of pushed myself to be noticed and to get my career going was to do more urban. I did car modeling. I did the whole stood in front of a pimped out ride in a bikini, which I now hate. It's so tacky, and I will never do that again. So that kind of just evolved. And I did take a break for a few years after I had my son, but I missed it. I kind of just missed the attention. I miss getting my hair and makeup done and standing in front of the camera and looking pretty. And, even if modeling doesn't take me somewhere, at least I can say when I'm 90 years old and wrinkly and shriveled, I could say, look, I was pretty at one point. I have these really pretty pictures.
Well, it's a great memory to have, to experience and create something that even if it doesn't go anywhere, who's to say what that means if it doesn't go anywhere? If it gives you a good experience, many good times, a great, portfolio of pictures, then at the end it went everywhere. Now, fame's only subjective to what you feel fame should be and is, and I think it's honestly overplayed in a lot of cases. That I've done very well in my career doing music and shows and things, and there's a ton of people that could say I never heard of them, but guess what? I've played hundreds of shows, I've created a company and done a lot of things, and at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I did it. I'm cool with that, and I can continue to do that, and that's what you're doing. It doesn't matter anymore. And I think one of the things you said that kind of struck me is it was harder for anybody that was thicker at a point because they portrayed a certain look that modeling and models needed to be, and for a long time that's all that was going to sell because that's all that they fed you. But then all of a sudden, internet. So that's the opposite end of the coin from earlier. One thing that the internet did do is it opened the doorway for a lot of other amazing things that we didn't know we would love. And there was a lot of guys out there and a lot of fans out there that loved a girl that was a little thicker, that had those curves. But you couldn't see it because that's all they ever gave you was Playboy.
Right.
So whenever modeling came in, MySpace and other sites came out, and you started being able to like, hey, I have a business, or hey, I'm a model, I'm pushing myself, I have a portfolio, you can check it out here. It started to build, and it's like, oh my God, look at all these other looks, which led into Suicide Girls and all these other type of clubs that, you know, started pushing different looks. So you had everything from gothic to just everything. Really quite amazing what that did for the industry, and opened up a whole new plethora of ways of thinking and people to follow. And now you can find anything you have a specific taste for.
Right, exactly.
So that's awesome. I mean, I always felt that it was kind of, you know, it's great. Like looking at a Playboy, the women are phenomenal, but that's not always the definition of what I feel is the sexiest out there. I mean, yeah, they're great, but a lot of times it's too, I guess I hate to say the phrase too perfect, but it's too perfect in not a good way. You look and you're like, all right, I get it, but it's like, it almost kind of weirds me out, because it's like, that's like flawless. Like you got sculpted to be that way.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to fuck a statue or look at a statue or admire a beautiful statue. I'm trying to look at a woman. I'm trying to look at something that's a piece of art that I can look at and their expression off of it. And, you know, I just love the fact that the doorways were opened with online, with social media, with different platforms, anything from music to modeling. It really just changed the entire industry.
Oh, I agree.
Did you notice a boom at that point, like when you started really taking to the internet? Because I don't know, when you started out, it would have been a lot different. As you started out very young, it would have been a lot different pushing your material back then compared to after you could just post it up in 20 seconds on the internet and hit share on different sites.
Right. Yeah. So when I first started out, MySpace was a thing. A lot of my pictures would be posted on there, but at the same time, it was, you know, it was still easy because people were still on that platform with logging in, and that's how artists actually, you know, started off. They would put their little IPs out on, I think they were called IPs. I'm not a music person, so no one in the music will shoot me for saying it wrong. EPs, thank you. They would even upload those on MySpace, but it was only like a clip it. You can only listen to like a certain amount. It was never like the whole thing. Where with pictures, everyone can see your pictures.
True.
And then it evolved into the Facebook and the Instagram, and they had websites, Model Mayhem, One Model Place, paid models. Like, those websites helped, but within the years, it just basically was girls taking selfies with their camera, with their phones and their digital cameras, uploading them and being, okay, I'm a model.
And that's one of the downsides of it. So we've kind of went back and forth that, you know, that social media, or I guess electronic devices in this case, can be a very bad thing, but then the platforms and things that they created can certainly open up doorways. But then the downside of it is, folks, that then everyone is everything. Sure, I'm a rapper. Right. I'm a rapper. I can rap. Oh, I'm a model. I can do that. It's like, but can you? Can you,
right.
though? Not everyone can do everything. Pick your thing and stick with it. Some things are just not for you. But that's what happens a lot, because I've been rapping for a long time and done very well with it. And I'll say that, I hate to say it sometimes, people are like, oh, you're in music. I'm like, yeah. They're like, what do you do? And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I'm a rapper, man. And a lot of times you get, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like, no, douchebag. I'm not some fucking dork behind a mic. Like, I can actually spit. I got a whole production. Like, it's legit. I'm not an asshole like every other, because I meet so many people at shows that come up to me and they're like, hey, man, it's nice to meet you, bro. I loved your set. And I'm like, thank you so much. They're like, I rap too. It's almost every single one you meet. I rap too. And I'm like, fuck, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. And back in the day, I don't even think you can share things on MySpace. You could just post them and comment.
Yeah, I forget. I don't think there was a share button.
I don't think there was a share button. So it was basically just on your page, and whoever you were friends with were the only ones who could see your stuff.
It was a weird thing. Like, you almost forget about like what all was, like what the buttons were like. I just remember you could have a song for your profile. So like if I went to Amanda's profile, your song came on. Whether it was something you made or it was something you liked. Like sometimes I'd put my band back then on, so whenever you visited my page, you heard my music. But it was cool that you could like customize it to you.
Yeah, and you had those little, like I remember all the girls would have those like little I guess they would be like Bitmojis now, but they were like the little MySpace girls. They were like girls that you could dress up and like post them to your page.
That's funny as hell. I forgot about that. No, I mean that was all there. It was an interesting time. I mean, I liked MySpace for the idea of what it was and what it could have been. It just never came to.
Yeah.
And then Mark,
good old MySpace.
Mark Z jumped in on the Facebook wagon, and he's like, "I'm taking over, and I'm going to make billions off this."
And he did it so fast. People transitioned from MySpace to Facebook in like a month, and they were like, "MySpace, what? What is that?"
Yeah, it was fucking nuts. They were like, boom. Everyone talked about MySpace. MySpace was everything, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Have you checked out Facebook?" And you're like, well, "What's this Facebook?" Oh, it's the new
Facebook.
It's the new wave. And then it was like 3 weeks later, everyone in the world was on it.
I know.
How does that happen?
Too
Especially
fast.
back then, because, I mean, you got to think he was a major pivotal change in how all of this happened, too, because eliminate Facebook from our lives. Say Facebook never existed, but everything else did. What would the world be like without that specific creation? Because if you don't have Facebook, you don't have Instagram. You don't have all the pictures, all the stories, all the people that have met one another because of it, all of the music, the festivals that have come about because meeting and finding artists on that. A lot of things have happened because of those two platforms.
Right. I mean, I guess I'd still be Twitter.
True. I never liked Twitter that much, and it's no hate against Twitter, so please, Twitter, don't hate me for it. But
well, I guess we would just bring back MySpace.
Yeah, well, they tried. We had to talk about this like an episode or two ago. They tried to actually bring back MySpace. Justin Timberlake bought it. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't go very far. So I'm not sure, Justin, what you were doing on that, buddy. But if you're still trying to do it, please bring it back. The world would love to see it. But it didn't come to fruition. They were going to make it more for artists only. So it'd be a platform that you went on to specifically find artists, musicians, and bands, which I love that idea.
Okay, yeah.
It didn't work. In fact, it never even launched. Like, I heard that they were working on it, and then I went and started a profile, and I never heard anything else about it again, and haven't heard from it since, and that was like 9 years ago. So they tried to bring it back for a short little period of time. Now,
well, some things are better off.
Some things are better off, absolutely. Now, why don't you tell us some of the shoots that you've recently done, because I know you've worked on quite a few. I mean, different looks, different scenes. I've loved the ideas that you've come out with recently. Why don't you share that with us?
Thanks. Well, as you can tell with the whole, apocalypse happening, no one really wants to shoot. So I think my last shoot was, if you saw the whole Guns N' Roses T-shirt
I did.
shoot was that was my last shoot I had before the world went to, excuse my language, to shit. And it was fun. I like doing different things. As much as I love doing my lingerie shoots and just feeling sexy and empowering and embracing my curves, I like doing other things too, like dress me up as like Queen Antoinette from like the 1600s. I want to wear a pretty outfit. But I'm trying to get back into more shoots. I miss being in front of the camera, and I feel like since it's only me and the photographer and not 10 other people, it should be okay. So if anyone out there wants to shoot, DM me. I would love to do I have a couple ideas coming up. I want to do like a body paint shoot, not like where I'm painted as like Spider-Man or something or Wonder Woman outfit. I just want like people to put their hands in paint and just drag their hands down my body and just like put all these different colors on me.
Okay.
Or like dope. A liquid, or like a
liquid latex type.
Like a liquid latex type paint, not just your standard, paint me with like dollar signs, or we're going to paint you to look like a waffle. Like, I don't want that kind of body paint. I want like paint, like take a squirt bottle and just squirt the paint over me so it just drips and covers places. And I have that, and I want to do like a candy shoot, just like stick candy to my face and like just do fun off the wall things. I feel like everyone does the same thing nowadays, where it's like, oh, it's a half naked girl. Oh, look, another half naked girl. Oh, look over there. What do you see? Another half naked girl. Like, you got every once in a while, you got to throw something different in there to be like, oh, wow, look, she's naked, but she's covered in liquid latex.
No, exactly. You want to give someone something that stands out. It is okay in between your larger scale shoots and doing ones in the candy store and doing the liquid latex for you to just put a couple sexy type of pictures up, or lingerie, implied nude, however you want to release the photos. They can be, just regular sexy photos. They don't have to be a crazy background and scheme. That is good content to release in between those big ones. But the problem is people get in to the rut of just doing that same things over and over and over and over and over again, and it loses its appeal. You got to hit them every once in a while with a purge like you did. And things like that, where you're like, where you're just like, shit, like, wow, that was dope. I really liked it. And I love the fact that she went out of her way to put together this scene or be a part of this scene. It stood out. Whereas ones where you're just in a bikini or lingerie, they are sexy, but do they stand out to me as much? Not as much, because you remember that scene in the background. But it's all great content. So I love to see that you're doing that, and that's not something that everyone or even a lot of models are doing, and that's something that they could take notes from.
Yeah, and Halloween, speaking of that purge shoot, Halloween is my favorite month of all time. It's my favorite season. So that's why I did the purge, and I had the skeleton queen face paint and the pumpkins
on the bridge, right? The wooden. Yes, those are pretty dope too.
Yeah. So.
No, you got to keep it different. You got to keep it fresh, and people will continue to pay attention. You don't want to get monotonous and just do the same things, because you'll keep fans, certainly, but you won't gain fans, and that's the problem. Right. You got to gain the momentum. If you just want to keep going at the same pace the rest of your life, that's great, but you should keep wanting to add steam to build up, and it's great to see, like I said, that you're doing that. Now, you said you like Halloween is your favorite season. Are you more of just the holiday itself, or are you Halloween overall, really into horror movies, into that type of stuff, or are you just more into the holiday?
I love it all. I love the holiday horror films. When I was younger, I would go on my old school computer that looked like a box TV, and I would wait for AOL to dial up.
Oh, shit,
and without kicking me off.
You go make like a bag of popcorn while you waited.
And I would not Google. I don't even know if we had Google back then.
It was Yahoo, I think.
Yahoo. I would search witch trials in Salem, Massachusetts, which I haven't been there yet. So if anyone wants to rent me their Airbnb for like free in Salem, Massachusetts around Halloween time, I will kiss your feet.
She's not playing, folks. Let's make it happen.
I'm not playing. I would literally kiss your feet, but they better not be gross and hairy and smelly and sweaty and gross.
You might want to wait till the virus passes before you're kissing anything.
Right. So I was really big into like where Halloween originated from, and like the witch trials and the movie The Craft. And yes, call me a craft nerd, but I did try to reenact the spells from The Craft.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of...
And from Practical Magic, where she like makes a spell where the cop, his favorite shape is the star. He's got one blue eye and one green eye. Like, I tried doing that. It didn't work for me. So I hope all you pagans out there, I hope it worked for you, because it didn't for me. I was very upset.
Well, there's certainly some power to be had behind ancient pagan or occult practices. It's just, I don't know about the ones from those specific movies, but certainly if you put enough energy and passion into it and you study it and push it far enough, there are some wild things that those type of activities and rituals can certainly do. But I think I captured a lot of people, around that time period with those movies, because they are fascinating. So you're just overall full-blown Halloween girl. I like it.
I am a full-blown Halloween girl. I'm actually if the world doesn't come crashing down, I'm actually getting married October 23rd of 2021. So I was like, we are having a Halloween wedding.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, Yeah, I looked into the witch trials. Wow, I can't talk. Myself, and studied that a good bit when I was younger. They had a book at the local library, and that's right, folks. I said the library. It is a magical building that you can take books out. Thing is, they still got them, but when's the last time you've been personally in a library?
I think I went to the library when my son was maybe 2 for like a children's book reading story time.
Okay. It's just not often anymore, and it's a shame. I love the library. I went there quite a bit. It's weird because I was always like the death metal kid and kind of involved in a lot of things, but I always was a book nerd too. Like I always loved to go and pick out a book and sit and read it and look at all these amazing stories, but I'd pick out like a dozen different ones at the same time and just read like a chapter of it and then put it away. I'm like, that's cool. And it wouldn't even be like the first chapter. Sometimes I just jump to the middle of the book because my library had these really old-ass books. They were like ancient paranormal stuff, witch trials, alchemy, and all these things, which obviously I think are a big reason to turn into the person I am today. I'm involved in all that type of shit. But I think that's where the start of it was the local library.
Yeah.
Interesting. All these things that are no longer around.
Well, they're still around. We just choose not to go in them because we have anxiety. We're like, I would never walk foot into a library.
It's just like the concept of it. I find it hard. I give them credit. I'm sure it's very hard to keep a library open these days. I'm hoping, like, I have a very young son. I'm hoping when he grows up, I'm going to throw him in that library. I'm like, read some books, damn it.
Read books on Halloween.
Read some Halloween books on Halloween.
Read some Halloween books on Halloween.
That's it. Now, let's see. We got some comments coming in here. Halloween
Anthony said no hobbit feet. Yes, I will kiss your feet if they don't look like hobbit feet.
No hobbit feet. Okay, yes, absolutely, Anthony. Talking about Anthony. I said Anthony. I'm telling you, I'm having some hard times talking tonight. Maybe I caught this. Maybe I caught this shit that's going around. I don't know. I'm starting to lose it, folks.
You got the corona.
Yeah, I'm done. This is my last show, like I said. Anthony is the writer behind our horror review column called The Gruesome Gazette at Brutal Business Entertainment. And if you haven't checked that out and you are a horror fan, and Amanda, you should check that out at some point.
These guys check it out.
Put some pretty intense and amazing write-ups on different horror movies that are ones that they've watched and reviewed, whether good or bad. It can save you a little bit of time from watching a bad one. It can certainly push you towards watching a good one. And everything from mainstream to B-roll, never heard of, low-budget films. These guys are putting out daily and weekly massive amount of reviews. So much credit to them and for everything that they do for Brutal Business. If you haven't checked them out, search The Gruesome Gazette. And folks, if you are listening in out there and you caught us halfway through the show, we've been spending the last 37 minutes of interviewing Amanda Monet. And if you missed any of it, you can always rewind back after the show's done and catch it from the beginning. This is streamable and downloadable, but you will have to wait till the live portion's over. Real quick, we are going to jump to our first commercial break, and then we'll come back for much more in-depth interview. We'll be right back on Uncovering the Underground.
Everything is dark around me. I'm lost in the deep end, trying hard to swim, but I sink. Nowadays the shadows follow and I cannot get away from the hate, away from the pain, and everything in between, so I drink. Hey, I don't understand why they tossing me roses. The last thing I remember was calling your phone. Then I woke up in the pool of darkness. I've been talking to spirits, I wanna come home. Where were you when I needed you? Why did you have to let go? I'm sorry if I mistreated you. It made you feel so low. I'm dark and I'm cold, I'm terrified. This place ain't give me no peace of mind. Didn't even get to look in your eyes and say goodbye for a while. Ended it all. This place isn't home. I'm all alone, at war by myself in the place ain't home, there's no peace inside. Cause everything is dark around me. I'm lost in the deep end, trying hard to swim, but I sink. And nowadays the shadows follow and I cannot get away.
All right, folks, I am back, and we are with Amanda Monet, and we just got done listening to Diary of a Lost Soul by my man Nasty Inc. If you've never checked him out, make sure you do that. That is off his newest album. And Diary of a Lost Soul.
Yeah, Diary of a Lost Soul. I could see that being, I would see that. If that was a movie, I would watch that.
Nasty, if you hear that out there, write a movie, brother. It's a very deep song. Guy's a very talented underground hip-hop artist from Indiana State. So if you hear that out there, he's involved in a lot of things as well. You need to start writing a script.
Yes.
Now, during the
and
break...
I'll be the girl in the Lost Soul.
She'll be the one that you write about in the Diary of Lost Souls.
Yes. Put me in your movie.
Now, Anthony, we wanted to ask you out there. Amanda's the one who brought it up. She says, ask Anthony what he wants to talk about. So if you were still out there, brother, you drop us a question for our guest tonight.
Yeah, ask me something.
And
Put me to work.
Put her to work. Make her earn her money tonight. Let's see. Amanda.
Thanks.
Yes, Amanda is gorgeous. Hope to see more from her. Absolutely. She's been doing some great work. Like I said, she's had my well, I guess not my radar. She's been on my radar. I'm telling you, I'm fucking done. I'm quitting. I'm letting Amanda take over the show. She's just going to run the show from now on, folks.
You're not allowed to drink before you come on to the show.
So here's a funny story. I'm going to tell you something real quick while we wait for Anthony to ask a question. And some people have heard this story, some people have not. But I don't get messed up before the shows. And I had an old radio show prior to this one, and I was a part of another company, and I would drink before my shows or during, but I would keep it very modest. Well,
right.
I drank 4 IPAs, which I drank a lot of IPAs, but there was something wrong with the hops in this IPA. And I drank these 4, and like 3/4 through my radio show, it just hit me like a brick to the face. And I don't think it exists anymore, thank God. But it was a pretty embarrassing episode where I still handled it professionally, but it was just, I said shout out quite a bit. I'm like, because I was interviewing one of my buddies, who's a hip hop artist named Don Arias, and over again, I'm like, you know what? Shout out Don Arias right now, folks. Give him a shout out. Anyway, so what's going on? And then I would go back into the interview, and then I'm like, shout out Don Arias again. And I counted, and it was like 36 times. It was wild. I don't know what the hell happened to me because I'm not normally like that. I'm very professional, but every now and again, we each have those moments.
That's okay. I used to drink a lot. I had a lot of moments.
Yeah, you kind of learn from those. I mean, they're good moments to have, but they're good to learn from as well, because you're like, you know what? Wow, I did that. That was me, and I wouldn't do that again, but I did it.
Thanks, Alexis. I like brunette.
I
used to be a brunette.
I got to see what's going on over here in my chat. What am I missing here, folks?
I used to be brunette. I should find some pictures of me when I was a brunette.
Put some pictures up.
I was tan, though. I wasn't as pale as I am now. So I actually looked good as a brunette. I think if I was a brunette now, I'm so fair-skinned that I think I would just look awful.
I don't know. See, I've seen girls switch their hair up completely from blonde to brunette or blonde to very dark or black hair where it doesn't work at all. And then I've seen other ones that it's the complete opposite, but it's perfect. You're like, wow, I never would have. It completely changes your look, how you come across in the photos, and can really, speak volumes depending. So I think it'd be cool to see you at some point throw out either the old ones or throw us some new ones, maybe completely separate from what we would imagine.
Yeah. I used to have black hair too, and it was down to my ass.
Wow. Okay.
It was super long, yeah.
See, I could see you with many different hair colors. I can't picture you with black hair.
It was horrible. It took me forever to lighten it up, and I spent thousands of dollars from going from black to blonde. It was awful.
Oh wow!
I will never do that again.
That's a problem I'll never, unfortunately, get to have because my hair has long since run away, and it's not coming back. But we do have Anthony's question here, and he says, "What is your favorite horror franchise?" So, are you a Friday the 13th girl, or are you a
So
Nightmare?
I've seen a lot of different ones. So I've seen all of the Friday the 13th, and I've seen all like the Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween. I've seen Freddy vs. Jason, all those. I've seen the one with the killer car, Christine.
Stephen King, yeah.
But I saw the update. I saw the newer one. It's like more modern. It wasn't the one from like back in the day.
Yeah.
And I remember I was watching this one. It's called the Gallows, and it's not really horror, but so it's a high school, and they do this play called The Gallows, and the main character he's going to the gallows to get hung or hanged, however you use that term. And he ends up dying for real. And he haunts the school, and like 20 years later, when the actors of the first play, they're now parents and their children are doing the gallows. And they like break into the school and to destroy like the set because they don't want anyone to die. And I'll tell you, there are some jumpy parts. I actually screamed out loud when I saw the one part. So that was a good movie. I like The Gallows. Actually, I should watch that again. It was a good one. But yeah, Christine was a good movie. I've seen the Children of the Corn. I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I like them all. I like the suspense that sucks you in while watching a movie instead of when something jumps out at you. Not only do you jump, but everyone is so focused on the movie that everyone around you jumps too because you jump. And it's the best. That's like the best.
No, it's a good thing. It becomes the whole room's vibing off the same movie and feeling the energy together. And when four of you feel the energy off the movie, you feel the energy off of one another, and it builds that suspense. And there's a lot of people that don't like horror movies because they just don't like being scared or being in fear, and I kind of am the opposite of that. I always liked it. If you learn to use fear, it's almost like a drug of sorts, where you have a movie that kind of scares the shit out of you, or a really psychological thriller. It kind of gives you a certain type of buzz in one way. If you didn't notice, you start to think about it, and you're like, yeah, it does kind of give you a high of like you're in suspense, your heart's kind of racing, you're like sitting on the edge of your seat, and you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's
and then someone next to you grabs your leg and jumps, and it's like a chain reaction. Everyone jumps and grabs their heart, like they're all having a massive heart attack, and they're like, Jesus, what is happening?
Yeah, that's why I love it right there. There's a lot of people that don't, but I've always been a horror junkie because I love that feeling. And as Anthony just said, it gives you a high. Absolutely. That's what I was just saying. Is it gives you a nice buzz off it.
Yeah. Now, I don't watch anything with like paranormal activity or possession because that actually happens.
Oh, it does happen.
And that it's a demonic being. I refuse. Me and my mom are the same way. Like, we refuse to watch anything that has to do with like possessions and paranormal activity and things like that, because that is true. That does actually happen in real life, and it's scary. So
you're more of a psychological. You don't like things that could be, well, I mean, slashers could be real, but I mean, obviously it's not. You don't, the way that they make slasher films not seem so like serial killerish or like, in that light, is that the fact that you can shoot them 10 times and they just keep getting back up, they don't die, it becomes surreal. So you're like, okay, it's not that bad. But when you watch something that you're like, oh shit, that could happen,
right,
it does give you a different feel. Now, a side note for me, it's part of my other radio show, so a lot of my guests don't know about that. I actually run a radio show specifically on the supernatural and paranormal, and I head a paranormal team and actually do research and investigation on demonic hauntings and even as far as exorcisms and things like that. So I've gotten to experience that life very well, and I agree with you that it's not something that it's true. It's very real and it's terrifying, and it's okay, I guess, in some sense to watch it in a Hollywood sense, but that's a Hollywood sense of it. The real thing is not fear like, oh, it's exciting fear. It's fear like, oh, shit.
Right.
It is a different thing, and I've felt it. I've gotten to look into the face of evil before, and I know that sounds wild, but it's very, very true. And people that know me and know my other show know about that. But, I mean, if you haven't checked that out, that's something interesting to hear about. Obviously, you probably won't want to because you want to steer clear of that. But I'm saying fans out there, if you want to hear some wild things that are certainly out there in the world, that is on Celestial Oddities. We have a new episode at least 2 to 4 times a month, depending upon availability. Our next show, if things go according to plan, will be Monday, and that is on the Black-Eyed Children. And our last episode was this past Monday, where I got to kick it with spiritual guru Garrett Dawn from Croatia, and we ran through the radical undoing process and pretty wild stuff. It was a meditation technique and stretching, exercising technique that I've never seen or heard of before, with massive, amazing spiritual results afterwards. So make sure you check that out, folks. Had to give myself a quick, shameless plug on my paranormal show since we were talking about it, but definitely some amazing
go ahead.
things. Now, what do we got here? Being in paranormal myself, if you can, tell an experience that still stays with you to this day. So I guess he's asking you, have you ever specifically experienced anything paranormal? And if so, what is it? Unless he's asking me.
No, I have not. Thankfully, I have not. But I don't like watching, what is that? I can't remember, but they go to the house in like England, and the little girl.
Little Exorcist? Or the Little Exorcist? The Exorcist?
No, the little girl hears like she gets like possessed. This old grumpy man, like Insidious. Is it Insidious? Those movies. I don't like those movies. I won't watch those.
You know, I don't think I've seen Insidious.
I think it's Insidious, but it's like a true story. Like this husband and wife are like ghost hunters or whatever, and they go to this house in England.
Oh no, you're talking about the Conjuring.
The Conjuring, yes. I can't. No, Conjuring 2. I don't want to. I can't, because it's true. Those things actually do happen. So I don't like. And let me tell you, if anything ever came into this house, in my house, I swear to God, living or dead, I would beat the shit out of it. Like, I'm a very scary person. They'd be like, not today, Amanda. Not today. We're leaving this house and we are not coming back.
That's wild. You know, I mean, I can understand that. A lot of people are in fear of that and want to stay away from it. Surprisingly enough, to what you just said, I'm actually going on a ghost investigation, give or take, because of this fucking virus, but they better not cancel it. I'm going on a ghost investigation at Moundsville Penitentiary in West Virginia, which is one of the most famous prisons in the world, and it's actually with one of the daughters from the true story of The Conjuring. Not the people in the movie, but the actual family that live there. The daughter of that family is going to be there as a celebrity that night during that ghost investigation. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to...
good luck to you. Say your prayers and bring your cross. And
I've always gotten a high off that, though, and I've always interacted very good. See, my thing is, since a child, I always was connected and experienced a lot since a very young age, roughly 6 years old. I started seeing ghosts in my house that we lived in. It's still very haunted to this day, that my mom still lives in. And it was wild. I mean, my family had seen things over time, but I caught it at a very young age. And then it just steadily progressed from there over and over and over again to where I'd be at other places and other buildings and other times. And things would interact with me. I'd see them. And then it wasn't just me that would see them. Other people would see things happen, but I was seeing them. And kind of like, you know, the Sixth Sense movie, so to speak, but not to that level, and became an empath of sorts and picked up feelings and vibrations from a lot of different areas, which caused me to investigate. And I've been investigating the paranormal for the last 15 years and recently branched out into making a team and started doing more famous locations. But coming up, we actually have 4 different very, very world-famous locations we're kind of going to be investigating and doing a show on and recording and releasing evidence. Have some evidence of past ones that are pretty interesting.
Well, that's exciting. Well, for you it is.
For me it is. For you it's terrifying. You're like, keep it away from me.
For me it's terrifying, and I'll be waiting outside in the car.
And that's it. You're like, come on,
done.
let's get the fuck out of here before this thing jumps in the car with us.
I'll be chugging my holy water while you go deal with demons, so no one comes inside me. I have my holy water inside my veins.
Most of the time, they're really mean you no harm, and they're actually very peaceful, and they just, you know, they're just there. You know what I mean? And they kind of interact with you, and you interact with them, but they mean no maliciousness to it. But there are certainly things in this world that are very, very dark, and they do. And
Do
those
they
are not
talk
ones
to
you want to
you?
interact. Have they? Yes, many times, but not as you would think. Not so much like you're looking at it and you talk. A lot of times you can pick EVPs up on recording, which is you asking questions with a tape player on, and then you shut it off, you rewind it back and listen. And during those silent appearances that you were sitting there, you'll hear on the recording actual whispers and voices answering. And that's actually very common.
So like you're like one of those like ghost hunter people, like on Ghost Hunters. I've seen ghost hunters.
Yes, so imagine that, but real.
Oh, but real. Thank
But
you.
real. No hate
You
against
just-
ghost hunters out
You
there. I'm
just
sorry,
busted
Sha.
out ghost hunters. You just called them out.
No, I'm not saying specifically them, but in this industry, there is a lot of faking. We actually had a very famous paranormal investigator on not too long ago on my other show, and he said about the fact that like 85% of the industry is fake, that they fake the things in the shows. I have those same type of results, but real. And it's not to float my own boat. It's just something that I've always been very good at interacting with them. So it's like I would never think of faking an incident or something to scare the crowd out there. I either get it or I don't. I can go there 20 hours and not get anything. Well, then guess what? You're not getting an episode. But if I go there and get some good material, I'm going to release it. I think that's pride in your work, and everybody should have that.
Right.
Now,
So tell me this, because
Yes.
I want to know. These ghosts, why are they still here? Is
Well-
it like the whole show with Jennifer Love Hewitt where they like haven't crossed over yet because they have unfinished business and they have to say goodbye to like family members? Or are they just here because they don't want to leave this lovely planet that we're on that's now corrupted by the plague?
See, everyone wants to think, and you named it, kind of answered it and nailed it on the head in a way. Everyone wants to think that spirits are one thing or another. They're all here because they're stuck between worlds. They're all here because they have unfinished business, or it's just everyone dies and stays here. No, it's a little mixture of everything. Just like there's multiple people on Earth doing multiple things, there are multiple reasons that they are. And some are because they don't want to move on. They are scared to, because you have to kind of choose to go on to that next level. And if you don't, then you can linger, and fractals of who you were can still stay behind. Some choose, like I said, not to go. Some are scared. Some have, just unknown reasons why they've stayed. They don't have unfinished business. They don't know to go to the other life. They're here for other motives of some sort. It's kind of a slew of all of the above. And it has to do a lot with metaphysics and energy. And some hauntings, what people don't realize is every time you have a paranormal experience that is very unexplainable, it doesn't mean that that is a live ghost in front of you. What that means is that could be a replay of energy from past. Prisons are known for that, where you'll hear a guard walk the rounds of the cement around the cells. You'll hear that same footsteps over and over again, and you're literally looking up and shining a flashlight, and you hear it. You don't see anything, and you're looking around. No one else is in the building but you, and you're like, how the hell is that happening? That's not a living ghost right there that's walking around and doing that. That is simply the repeat of something that happened so many times. So much energy over time had been given to that there are clips of past that will actually replay. It sounds wild, but it's true. That's not something you can interact with. It just at nighttime or different times throughout the day does its same rounds. It's a mixing of metaphysics and energy. And sometimes you get an actual cognitive spirit entity that you can interact with. It does, for some reason or another, show up in front of you, whether it be a full-blown entity, a partial entity, voices, objects moving. All of it is very possible, and all of it is very plausible. And that's just because they're interacting with the energy around you. If you show a lot of sadness, a lot of anger, that charges them up. If the area already has a lot of things within the walls that have happened there, or there's a lot of energy source coming from that house, it can amplify those things up to be able to show you themselves and let you hear them much more frequently than a place that doesn't have anybody visiting. So that's why a lot of times when kids are around, kids experience them a lot, because kids have so much energy and they're so pure. They're giving off such good energy that it charges them up.
I heard that. Kids and animals.
Kids and animals, yeah. Animals see them all the time. Like my cats all the time will look at the corner of the room and they're looking at it and they're like, oh, I see you. Some just pass through my house now. Like I don't have things that usually stay here by any means. I do a lot of saging and a lot of different ritualistic type things that get rid of them. I'm very involved in spiritualism and different side things like that. Like I said, I'm a very interesting cat, I guess you could say, but I keep the house cleansed and things of that nature. But every once in a while you do, everybody does, has things that pass through, but most of them never present themselves to you, and they're here and gone quickly. Some linger. It just depends.
You learn something new every day.
You do, and it sounds wild. The people not involved are like, wow, that sounds insane, and this guy's a goofball. But I promise you, as real as you heard it is, it very much is. So much so that you can get to the point where you ask it to move something across the table, and it'll actually slide it in certain places. Like if you're in very active locations, they will interact with you to the point where you can actually communicate with them.
Kind of cool, actually.
It can be. It can be a little intense sometimes. But so you talked to us about, obviously, how you started out. You've been from Ohio this whole time. You have grown up doing modeling as a young child, took some time away from it, got back into it, and have been giving us just shoot after shoot of great content. You've talked to us about the different types of shoots and backgrounds you've done and what you have coming up for us. But what I want to know is if you had all that time back to invest into something else, one other thing, not modeling, all the time you've ever spent into it, what would you put it into?
Oh, geez. Probably going back to school.
Okay. Anything specific you'd like to go back to school for?
Something to do with like facials and Botox and fillers and remaking people over. So like not like a surgeon, but like
I guess like some form of cosmetologist, but not exactly
like an esthetician, I guess. It would be like something with the face.
Okay. Well, it's never too late, but the problem is, and in anything in the medical field, you definitely would have to have the degree to be able to get into. But school a lot of times is just a dead end. You get the education, but it's hard to get the job, or you end up with a lot of student loan debt that you have to pay off, and you still don't get the job. Whereas something like that, though, there's no way you can possibly get the job usually without that degree. Some jobs you can kind of work your way around it. I've done that in the past, and I'm currently in a position where probably wouldn't have originally got, but I just did hard work and got there. But it's hard to find those jobs that you can, and that's certainly one you can't. But there always is time to go back.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how the world happens in the next couple months.
Yeah, school might not really matter anymore, folks. Nothing might matter after this weekend.
Right. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
It is wild to think that, we are, and I don't want to jump back onto that topic, but we are in uncertain times that a lot of people are saying this weekend some wild things are going to be happening and go down. So we will wait and see what happens. But the plan would be, folks, as I said, we bring you a show every week. So next week, tune in on Thursday if we're all still here. Now,
yes.
I would like to know, if you had to pick one animal that would become the ultimate ruler of all the animals, so that the animal kingdom rises up, the human beings are not in this equation, and they were to turn on one another, what animal would be the ultimate leader of them all, and why?
Let's see. Well, I would pick two.
Okay.
Because I'm torn. So either the elephant, because they're already massive, and I feel like they, as big as they are and as silent as they are, they have a lot to say. When they trumpet their trunks, they're loud. I think that if there was mass chaos in a room and an elephant just decided to make his elephant noise, whatever it's called, people would stop. Animals would stop and be like, what the hell was that? They're like the big giants, but they're the silent giants. And I feel like they would make their presence known, whether it was a mass chaotic, all for one battle royale with animals, or or it was just normal animals on the plain. I think they're very majestic. I love elephants.
We had one other guest say elephants before. I always look to see if there's doubles, if people pick the same thing, or if there's always... I've gotten some very strange answers over time that I'm like, wow, that's some strange thinking, but okay. Elephants is definitely one I can see. I've seen some people say some things that, like ants, and you're like, well, I wouldn't think of ants, but they're like, there's millions of them, and you can't really stop them because they're so small and they move so quickly. I'm like, well,
and they have an army.
They do have an army. I'm like, well, that's some strange logic, but I like that, and everybody's very different, so it sounds like a strange question off the bat, but there's reasons for that, because I like to see where people's mindset is. Now, you said there was a second one as well?
Yes. The Black Panther.
Okay.
Panther, I love Black Panthers. Mind you, I like black cats. Goes to Halloween. I just think Black Panthers are very slick and sly, and I guess like all cats, they are light on their feet, but when they walk into the room, they're there.
Well, I think Black Panthers stand out a little bit amongst other cats because the way they move and just their look is so different than any of the other feline, components out there, whether lions or jaguars or leopards, cheetahs, it doesn't matter. They look different. And especially if you've ever seen any video footage of them moving at nighttime, it's phenomenal. I mean, they creep and crawl through the trees, and you can't see them coming. You just see the eyes, and it's terrifying. Like, it could be anywhere, and boom, it's on you, and it's a deadly, heavy, very violent, dangerous cat, but also very beautiful and majestic.
Agreed.
The perfect mix of beauty and terror.
Yes. Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, absolutely. Now... So one of the questions I skipped earlier, and I wanted to jump back to it, you had told us that you're a fan of horror films and just different films in general. You have obviously shown us that you put a lot out with the modeling side. Is there any desire to get into the movie side of things? Because you joked earlier about being in the movie we were talking about, but is that something you've ever thought about? You want to get into acting? Do you want to get into music videos? Do you want to get into things like that? Or is it mainly just the modeling side?
If I didn't have to audition for a movie and someone was like, we'll put you in it, you don't have to audition, I'd be like, okay, great. I have really bad anxiety, so if I had to audition, I would be like, I'm not going to make it. There's no way I'm going to make it.
So that's interesting to hear that, because you don't mind being in front of the camera, and that doesn't make you anxious, but being in front of a panel auditioning you and watching you, that would be where like the stage fright comes in for public speaking.
Well, so I was diagnosed with anxiety and a panic disorder, and I have a disorder called agoraphobia. I have a fear of large places, which brings out my anxiety, which gives me a panic attack. So if I go to, say, like the Arnold Classic, which has billions of people, I have to take my medication. Otherwise, I will have a panic attack and literally pass out because there are so many people there that I can't handle it. I am afraid to walk in.
Now, what about regular concerts? Is that something that you can go to most concerts, or is there even concerts that you're like, holy hell?
No, I pretty much have to. I live on medicine because I can't even go to church, let alone having it have 100 people in the church or less than 100. The birthday parties obviously are fine, but anything bigger than that, like I can't. Sporting events.
Anxiety is a hell of a thing.
Yeah. So modeling is fine because it's just me and the camera and like the photographer. But if I had to audition, I'd be like, oh God, can it just be like me and somebody else? Like, and not 10 other people in the room, or just give me the part. Like, I don't just be like, you're hired.
Yeah, I'd rather not audition. Can you guys just give me the job and we'll just call it a day?
Right. I promise. You have makeup artists. You can make me look pretty or gory. I can look like a witch, make me look like an evil queen. Like, that's what I really want to do. I want to be an evil queen. I want to be like Maleficent, but without the horns.
Okay.
Although she wasn't really evil, but I want to be like an evil queen.
Well, she kind of is. Depending on the depiction and everything. I think the recent movies.
And I could be a really good mean girl.
Okay. Well, maybe bring some of those attributes out in some of the next couple shoots, I think. You have to definitely show us a side of that in the next couple shoots when you put them out. Now, we're going to take one more break. When we come back from that, I have a couple wrap-up questions. I want to ask where we can check your photos out at, what platforms you're on, who you would like to thank, and then we'll do our closing statement. We are going to jump in. And folks, if I didn't say at the beginning of the show, we played King Cold Drinking Problem featuring Jelly Roll, and then we had Diary of a Lost Soul from Nasty Inc. And coming up, we have The Wild and Free, and this is Paper Cut. We'll be right back on Uncovering the Underground. All right, folks, we are back on Uncovering the Underground. I'm your host, Skippy Ickum, and that was Paper Cuts by The Wild and Free. Great pop band that we had on the show a little while back. I feel really bad for those guys because with the things going on around the world right now, they were announcing their one tour that they were going on, and they've been doing some very big things, so check them out. And they had some great, I forget which tour they were going on. They were touring with someone that was huge. And
it's a shame. They were really excited about it, and that all just got canceled because of this shit. So we talked about it on the show about how excited about the upcoming tour they were, and then I got to see it not happen. So that's fucking blows. But much love to them. Check them out, the Wild and Free Paper Cut. If you're just tuning in now, for the last hour and 13 minutes, we have been spending time with Amanda Monet, a beautiful underground model from the Ohio area, and we've been picking her brain on who she is, how she's got to where she's got, some strange and funny questions, horror, paranormal, and everything in between. So we've covered a lot of topics. Make sure you go back and check it, share it around. And we want to finish this out with finding out where we can find your art, your modeling, who you would like to thank, and any last closing statements from you.
So I made it super easy for everybody. My Instagram handle is just my name backwards, so it's Monet Amanda. My Facebook is Amanda Monet. I do not have a Twitter. I had one, but I failed to use it. I was a horrible person on Twitter. I think I ranted more on Facebook than I did on Twitter. So sorry to all you Twitter people out there. I do not have one. And then you can also see some more explicit content on my OnlyFans page at onlyfans.com/Amanda Monet.
Well, you heard it, folks. Either search one or the other, Monet Amanda or Amanda Monet, on any of the platforms out there except for Twitter, and you will certainly find her. Yeah, I'm not a big Twitter fan myself. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's a great company and everything. A lot of people have had success from it. I have one, but I never really understood. I never seemed to really get the likes or shares like other people were doing. I'd see someone put up something about nothing and have 1,000 likes on it, and I'd put up a very deep post and 3 people would check it out. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere with this site. So you just got to kind of pick and choose your battles.
I was definitely not the Kim Kardashian of Twitter, that's for sure.
And I don't get it. People still talk about Trump's Twitter. They're like, did you see what he twittered? I'm like, who the fuck uses Twitter anymore? Why does everybody keep talking about what he's twittering? Because who twitters? That was cool 15 years ago. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even cool then because I didn't like it. So I don't know. It's just crazy. But I'm with you 100% on the Twitter. But no, check out all of her content, whether it be the regular content on Facebook and Instagram, and the other sites that are out there. You can check out more explicit content, like she said on. You said OnlyFans.com.
OnlyFans, yes.
Okay, well, check it out, folks, certainly. And who would you like to thank out there as far as where you've gotten and who you are today because of them?
Well, probably my mom, because she's the one who started it. But I'd probably say just I didn't have a rough childhood, but the relationship I kind of had with my parents kind of made me want to rebel a little bit and, do some things that got me to where I am today. When I was 18, I started off as a stripper, and that kind of led into doing more of the risque lingerie modeling. I'd probably thank my parents for making me want to rebel and be a badass that I thought I was, but I wasn't, because I was super shy and insecure, but I did it anyway. So yeah.
But I think that's great though, because even if you said you were shy during parts of that, it still led you into who you are. You know what I mean? You rebelled a little bit. You got to experience a different side and confidence of yourself that you didn't have prior to that. And even if you were shy, you still weren't shy because you were willing to go out there and do it, and that's great. When you put yourself out there is when things happen. That's when you do get a buzz. That's when you do gain fans, because if you're not working, you're standing still. If you're not moving, you're standing still. So you got to put in that motion and that work, and sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone, because if you don't think outside the box, you're always inside the box.
Exactly, yeah.
And like I said, I certainly am impressed with your work, and I see a lot of different models. I work with a lot of different models, and I know what I think when I see someone that stands out to me that I'm like, wow, they have something different. You have a spark. So make sure you keep pushing that and doing what you do. And like you said, whether it takes off or you continue to have an underground fan base, either one is absolutely fine, because I don't think you can lose either way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Well, I want to give a couple announcements. Hold on, folks. I have to grab the scheduler anymore because with everything that's going on in the world, I had to reschedule a lot of different things, not necessarily radio-wise, but just in general, and my mind can't handle it all. Next week, we have... There we go. Well, actually, we have an opening now. Because of that, the gentleman who is going to be on next week from Makeshift Urn, which is a local Pittsburgh metal band, is now having to work a completely different schedule through this pandemic because of the type of industry he's in. So we are going to be rescheduling them back in. So we do have an open bye week next week. If anybody's interested in that spot, hit me up. I am pondering whether I'm just going to take the week off or not to wait to see what happens with everything going on around the world. But the following week, we have Justin Sane Native, which if you don't know who that is, great hip-hop artist. I played with him a while back on a tour that he was on with Razakel and them, and it was a really good time. We have King Torch the week after that. Beyond Top Secret the week after that on the 16th. The 23rd, we have Nomadic. And the following week, we have AB. So we have a very big rap month next month. And then after that, I think we switch gears and we come back in with a lot of metal and a lot more beautiful ladies. So we have a lot of great things coming for you folks out there. Make sure you check it out. Share around the show. Check out teambrutalbusiness.com. And other than that, thank our sponsors again. I want to thank you, Amanda, for coming on the show and sharing with us a little bit about yourself.
You.
The fans are loving it. I'm getting some great comments over here, not only on Spreaker, but I'm getting messages online on Facebook as well. I always get a lot of people hit me during the show, like I see that shit. I can't read your comments till after the shows, folks, because I get people that will ask you questions afterwards. And I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. That's why I say, if you're listening out there, Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app, that is the best way to leave our guests questions. Other than that, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I don't think so. Oh, Alexis Moore, you sent me a friend request. Thanks, girlie.
There you go. Friendships are happening here at Uncovering the Underground. Well, folks, we thank you so much for listening in tonight. Everyone, please, from the bottom of my heart, all joking aside, be safe out there. I believe that there's a lot of things happening this coming weekend, especially tomorrow. I've been saying it for a while. And if you do follow my other spiritual side of things that I'm involved with online or any of the teachings that I give, I would keep an eye out this weekend because there is something big that's going to happen globally. And we need to all be prepared for it. We need to stick together as a human race and try to keep each other going, keep our minds focused, don't turn on one another. And just spend this time with your families and be as safe as you can be. I love all of you. I thank all of you. And I plan on talking to you guys soon. We'll talk to you later. And Amanda, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Of course. Thank you for having me.